Hey everyone, welcome to my video. This is going to be a screenwriting tips video. This is going to be, I don't know, it's a video I have to make because of what happened. I got banned on Imgur for one of my comics, or rather the comic got banned. I haven't been banned yet. And I really don't understand why, so thus perhaps you could shed some light on why I've been banned. And if I can figure it out, I'm going to edit in the comic into the video so you can see it. If not, go to the webcomicfactory.com and you could check it out. I'll put a link in the bottom of the video. So, just to quickly describe the comic to you, this is a Tony Destructo comic, and I know it didn't violate the rules visually because I've posted the comic before. You see, in the world of webcomics, when you don't have something to post, or you need a rerun, because we post comics every day on the Webcomic Factory, some of the comics are perennial. You can just change the word balloons and you have a new comic. So certain comics are for commentary on certain things. So this is the comic I use in Tony Destructo to complain about movies. The first panel, it's a 3-panel comic. It's Tony Destructo and his date, Patty, waiting in line in the Jerktown cinema. Now, Jerktown, it's called Jerktown, where Tony Destructo lives, because Tony Destructo is always railing against hypocrites. That's his thing. He's sort of a character who's absurdist, and he does crazy, horrible things. He's all about mayhem and justice and delivering justice. So he lives in a town full of jerks, and he's constantly doling out justice wherever he goes. And it's just a crazy comic in the style of like a Don Martin kind of Mad magazine thing. It's drawn by Fernando Sosa, and we've done many crazy things over the years. So the Jerktown Cinema theaters, I put names of movies that are satires of the movie things at the time. So this strip is about how they're pushing women in movies. So in Theater 1, you got playing Mary Sue the movie. Theater 2, Captain Chick Flick. Theater 3, live action old cartoon, something else Hollywood's doing all the time now. Theater 4, some piece of crap. Theater 5, Feminist Agenda Part 3, and Theater 6, Women, exclamation point. And Patty says, why do we keep coming to movies if all you do is complain about them? And Destructo says, if I don't see them, then my complaints have no credibility. And this is something they've talked about before in line. Patty says, you just don't like these movies because they star women. I read on the internet that your masculinity is toxic. Destructo says that's crap. I've actually worked on movies. I mean, if you want to see women in movies so much, why don't you finish that screenplay you were working on? Patty says, I tried, but it's too hard. Hollywood should just make them for me. And Destructo says, yeah, I'm sure that's what a strong, empowered woman would say. Okay? So it's pretty straightforward. I mean, it's not a hilarious joke. It's just goofing on the fact that women who don't make movies are constantly complaining that there's not enough women in them. So maybe go out and make your own damn movie full of women and see what that gets you. Maybe if you're right and there's a huge market for it, it'll be a giant hit, and we'll the rest of us who are complaining can go pound sand. Rather than taking a male character like Captain Marvel and reinventing him as a woman. And this is a bit of a slam against Captain Marvel, obviously, because one of the theaters was playing Captain Chick Flick. Now, previously I had an Imgur account, and I got completely, well, I wasn't banned, but I got flagged a few times because I do another comic called TNA. And TNA is the world's stupidest comic. It is a conversation between a pair of boobs and a butt. And I use stock photos that I get royalty free from this website, and you know, it's just a really stupid comic, and I just like really stupid comics, and I think it's funny. And if you don't like it, well, whatever. There's plenty of other comics on the site that are smarter. Anyhow, TNA got flagged a few times on my original Imgur account. Now, some of the photos I used were a little questionable, but I thought they were fine. I looked at them. I didn't see any genitals or nipples or anything like that in the pictures. Maybe the shadows are a little confusing, but I'd also seen sexy photos on Imgur before, and they never seemed to get flagged. And in fact, there is adult stuff on Imgur somewhere. I'm not exactly sure how to access to it. And I did put up the mature rating on them. Sometimes I forgot. I'm an older guy. I don't always run my social media as efficiently as I should. Anyhow, when Imgur finally flagged that account completely, although I was pretty upset at the time, I kind of understood the thinking that yes, I was breaking their terms of service in that case because their community guidelines stress no nudity or sexually explicit content. So, and I'm looking at the Imgur community guidelines here. So I get that. I mean, you could argue that while there was no nudity, maybe some of that's sexually explicit and whatever. But I kept asking the Imgur guys, and they never really gave me clarification. So it was a little confusing, and eventually I decided, forget it, I'm just not going to post TNA on my account anymore. So I started a new account, which is the current one, the Webcomic Factory. So, guideline, now obviously this cartoon, you can't see it, but there's no nudity in it, and it's a cartoon. Everybody's dressed. So it's definitely not nudity or sexually explicit content. The next rule is provocative, inflammatory, unsettling, or suggestive posts should be marked as mature. I don't think what I said was any of those things, although those are pretty broad terms. I guess you could say they were provocative, but provocative in what way? I mean, usually when you say provocative, you're usually talking about sexually provocative. I don't think that was too mature, that language. I read you the comic word for word. I mean, it's a pretty blatant joke. I mean, Tony Destructo's always pretty blatant that way. You know, I've been accused many times when posting Tony Destructo, oh, you're just putting up a straw man. Yeah, that's what it is. That's the whole point. I can't have an actual conversation with people in a cartoon. I'm writing the cartoon. So, that it wasn't marked mature, that seems, you know, and we're talking the internet here. I've seen plenty of stuff on Imgur that I was like, holy crap, that wasn't marked mature. So, the next one is no hate speech, abuse, or harassment. I don't see how you can interpret that cartoon as that. No content that condones illegal or violent activity. Definitely doesn't do that. No gore or mutilation. Definitely doesn't do that. And I've seen plenty of gore on Imgur. Stuff that I don't know how it even got past the censors, but what are you going to do? No posting personal information. None of that on there. No spam or prohibited behavior. None of that. No post that violates Imgur's terms of service. Well, that's sort of redundant. Good sharing practices. So, I have asked them for clarification or what the deal is, what rule did I break. I have yet to receive a response. I guess I got to contact Imgur Help. I'm not sure if I did that correctly, but you know, it just annoys me that whoever did this, I think, and this is just my opinion, it's not based on anything, I think it's yet again another situation where we have people in the Silicon Valley area in Southern California imposing their values on everybody else. Okay, so maybe there's some angry women, as Sargon of Akkad said, angry women who are, you know, all full of self-righteousness about women, and they've decided that my cartoon doesn't meet their standards and should be censored. But instead, all they end up doing is drawing more attention to it, because now I've made this video, so now we're going to talk about this video 2 days instead of just one. If they had just let it go, a couple of hundred people would have saw it and it would have been over. No, but you decided to take a post down off of the new Imgur account, which doesn't have nearly as many hits as my old Imgur account, and censor me. So I don't think that's very fair or nice. And if it's an algorithm thing, you know, I don't see how the algorithm could have possibly interpreted what I wrote as so egregious. I mean, there's plenty of misogynist stuff on the internet, and if you want to go take it down, build a company to do that. Imgur is supposed to be for posting pictures and fun stuff, and if you can't take a little ribbing because you know, the Captain Marvel movie's coming out and everybody's already hating it, you know, I still have reserved judgment. I haven't seen it. I don't expect to like it. And all signs point to this is going to be a damn disaster, and I want to talk about it fairly. But Jesus, what did you accomplish? What did you accomplish by taking that cartoon off Imgur? Imgur, did you accomplish anything good? Did you save anybody from something, from some crazy idea? Now I've made a video. So now everybody, and quite frankly, sometimes the videos get more hits than Imgur. So yeah, I guess you could dust your hands off and said, well, we didn't contribute to that. But at the end of the day, you know, I'm just going to make another account if my account is flagged, and I'll just post some other stuff until I guess you find some way to ban me permanently from your stupid site. So I really think it's just very prudish and very weak to censor people in this way. I didn't use curse words, didn't use any nudity. There was, you know, it was all good fun. It was satire, and if you can't take a little satire, really, you ought to just pack it in. It's the internet. You're going to be satirized a lot. And maybe I don't have the following, the massive following that some other people have, that would allow for a massive outrage of this, but clearly you're going to get double back what you're trying to suppress there. So now I'm making this video, and way more people are going to see this cartoon than previously would have normally, and so there's that. So thank you, Imgur. I'll be posting hopefully tomorrow or the next day, assuming you don't have a problem with in a relationship or all the other crazy comics that I post off the Webcomic Factory. So please, if you're watching this and you happen to work for Imgur, you know, it would be nice to get a response to see what the hell is going on and actually understand the terms of service that you supposedly have, and see them applied equally. Because we've already seen Google, YouTube, Twitter, Patreon, all these platforms, in the end, are going to hurt themselves with this sort of behavior. There's already competing platforms that people are moving to because all the cool stuff is going there. Yeah, there's a lot of racist idiots there too. That's where they're forced to go. But the thing is, that is part of that world of free speech. And in case you don't know it, free speech includes those wackos. Those wackos need some sort of steam release to spout all their hateful nonsense. And you could just ignore them because it's the internet and there are plenty of tools to block them so you never have to hear them. You know, unless you're a baby and need to be covered in an invisible force field so nothing harmful can hurt your snowflake sensibilities. I'm a little upset, as you can see, because being censored just infuriates me, especially when, you know, Google already put this thing on. I got to get an SSL certificate on the Webcomic Factory, and I haven't been able to raise the money to do it yet. And it's just very annoying that I have to go through all this rigmarole just because Imgur can't take a little joke about women in movies, where Hollywood is clearly virtue signaling over and over again. And let me just restate, I stated in my previous video, it's a bunch of crap, okay? Hollywood doesn't care about anything but money. No one in Hollywood cares. They don't. I've met these people. Many of them are amoral money machines that are self-centered, narcissistic monsters. They are. I've met them personally. And it's not all of them, but there's quite a few of them. And they will do anything to keep their position and that money flowing and their image clean. And that means including finding a scapegoat for their failures. And if they can scapegoat the fans, oh, that's like manna from heaven for a studio executive. For a studio executive to be able to stand up and say, well, my movie didn't fail because of me, or the people I hired, or the crazy changes I made to the film, or the weird political agenda I hammered into it. No, it failed because there are bad people on the internet. Please give me another $10 million so I could go make another politically charged movie that will fail. That's what they're after. They're after just the next payday because it's millions of dollars at stake. And they will literally say anything to keep that money flowing. And if they have to throw the fans under the bus, there's no problem. Because, listen, one day it's going to turn. And they're going to throw the social justice warriors right under the bus. All the people who got thrown under the bus now, all the trolls and the people on the internet, they're going to, at some point, become the heroes. Because that's the way Hollywood works. When that trend plays itself out, it will be time for Hollywood to turn against it. And when they do, they're going to turn hard, boy. And all that social justice warrior nonsense, you could stuff it in a bag and get lost. All those people who work at Marvel Comics who got hired for their social justice warrior cred, they'll all be gone. They'll be fired so fast. And their names, not only will they not be able to work, they won't even have their phones ringing. They won't have emails returned. They will just be non-persons to the people in charge. Because once the money people make that decision, once you have that taint of, no, you're yesterday and you're not a name, you're gone. You're gone. Because it's about money. It's always been about money. It's not about virtue signaling. It's not about doing the right thing. These are companies and people who don't care about doing the right thing. So to put your moralness in a corporation and being on the left side of politics and relying on a corporation to dictate morals is just insane. I used to be on the left. I was definitely one of the people who lived in a democratic way. I was as liberal as could possibly be. But I wasn't never that stupid. I never trusted a corporation. You're not supposed to trust these people. You can't trust Gillette or any of the corporations who are doing all this moral grandstanding. They don't really, in my view, care about any of this stuff. They're just companies looking to exploit a trend. Wake up. All right, that's it. I'm done. I'm still sick, but hopefully I won't be sick next time you see me. See you next time.